guys. How are you doing today? My name is Elida Arriza, and I just want to take a second to congratulate the organizers for doing such an amazing job of bringing us all together. Let's go. A lot of hard work. I also want to thank you guys for showing up. You've been here 3 days, and I think it's a great initiative that you're feeding your brain nutritious stuff. So, I have a lot of respect for your abilities. I've made numerous attempts at learning code. I've tried VB and ActionScript, C++, that kind of stuff. Didn't really stick. Although I'm somewhat code literate, if you consider HTML and CSS, does that count? And so my skills are totally wimpy compared to yours. Like if we flex side by side. Actually, I have computer muscles, so kind of this way. So before we get started, I'd like a bit of help. I'm going to need an assistant to help me. Do I have any volunteers? One. Okay. You raise your hand first. I'll take you. Okay. So your job. What's your name? Dallas. Dallas. It's kind of weird. I'd like you to bring that chair. Yeah. It's a bit awkward. Maybe turn it so you can see the screen and everyone. Yeah. And I need you to guard this box for me. We're going to come back to this later. Okay. Shaking it up this morning. I saw some yawns, so. Oh, I'm sorry. All right. So why am I here? I want to introduce you to a super vitamin, something that you may or may not know about, and I like to call it vitamin UX. So here we go. Here's the part where I'm supposed to tell you a little bit about myself. So as I was introduced, I have background in fine arts, creative stuff, photography. I studied digital media, and while I was there, it was a program where they mixed computer science with creative. So I got to do a lot of projects with co-students that were kind of doing similar things as you guys. I worked at a Montreal creative agency called Sid Lee. Who's heard of them? Okay, cool. For those who haven't, check out our reel. It kind of says it all in 2 minutes. And what we do is we build business for our clients of, should I show the main stars? So we build creative, transformative experiences. And we mix a lot of different disciplines together. So in-house we have a branding and architectural firm, we have a video production house, we have a technology box, and we all kind of work together and make awesome stuff. I'm part of the labs team, and it's kind of the innovation arm of the agency, and my role there is as an experience designer. But more on that later. So in the next few minutes, we're going to get more familiar and inspired of the subject of UX. Firstly, we're just going to do a brief overview. Then I'm going to tell you why I think it will enhance your career if you give it a chance, and some examples of how you can adopt a UX mindset. And then finally, actions that you can take to move forward in UX if you'd like to do so. And overall, when you walk out of here, I'd love for you to have a new paradigm of how you see the world. So let's go. So like I said, we're just going to take the short version of what user experience means because we want to get into the meaty stuff. And in a nutshell, it's really one word. It's empathy. It's about fulfilling the basic needs of people and delighting them on top of that. And also putting yourself in their shoes. To illustrate this point, I hear some laughs, that's great. Who knows about this movie? Who's seen this? Okay, awesome. I was worried that no one would understand, but great. So to demonstrate like the two extremes, we have, I don't know why the logo's there. We have the character Milton that is delighted by the user experience of his swing line stapler. And he even says, if they take my stapler, then I'll set the building on fire. Like, that's how much he loves this object. In contrast, we have the office staff who has encounters with the office equipment malfunctions, and they don't quite have the same experience. So one of the quotes is, PC load letter, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? So watch it if you haven't. It's one of my favorite classic movies of all time. So what's your swing line stapler, and what do you do when you experience a paper jam, or how do you feel? So this is like the empathy part. You can really relate to the characters, I find. And like overall, a user experience can make or break someone's day. And you're involved in creating these experiences for sure. So now that we've had a little reminder on how crucial UX is, I want to take a minute just to clarify the difference between UX and UI. So a lot of people use them interchangeably, but just to make it super clear, UI is about the direct manipulation of an interface. So, for example, a light switch, a doorknob, anything that a person directly manipulates, to me, is the user interface. And so things like buttons, radio boxes, form fields, these are UI elements. And a lot of the times they lend themselves from the real world, and they kind of carry over to screen. And other times they're abstract, like flat design. Oops. That's supposed to say UX, I'm sorry. Oh, here it is. So to me, UX implies that there's technology involved. There's some kind of system. So even if it's mechanical, like a stapler, if it's a device, if it's a software, an app, like a web page, a lot of the stuff, like pretty much everything, you guys can be involved in these kinds of projects. And the broader sense of UX is just you drop the user part and you call it experience design. So when the word user isn't there, it's more general. When you have the word user, it pertains to technology. Now let's get to the important stuff. How is UX important to you as a software engineer? So 3 scenarios. So most of you are almost finished, going to go in the workforce, and there's 3 very likely scenarios that I think you might follow. So 1, you might work for a company. Eventually, I think you're going to end up working with a UX designer or similar. And in the company, if you kind of have this basic understanding, you'll be better attuned to collaborate more effectively and understand the other person's role. So again, the empathy part. So example, I sort of have code literacy, more or less. So when I work with programmers, the relationship seems to be more synchronized because they feel that I connect. Open source projects too have that collaboration aspect. So you might work with different kinds of people. So that's something else that's an area where this could help. And maybe you might end up working for a startup or a small business. So you might know when to call out the need for a UX designer. Or even you might not be lucky enough to be able to have that as a resource, so you might have to be that person to kind of fill the gap. And lastly, if you go solo, if you're like freelance or something like that, by understanding UX more, you'll enhance your value proposition and offer a more complete service to your clients. So good reasons? How are you doing? Yeah? Okay, so we've got some neat brands, some younger brands on the screen. Who wouldn't mind working for one of these companies? Yeah, pretty attractive companies to work for. To me, what they have in common is that they're market disruptors. They've changed how things work, like obvious, Airbnb, hotel industry, freaking out. And they're constantly recalibrating. And I think they can attribute a lot of their success to the UX and the UI, that experience. And they invest a lot in it as well. So surely, if you have that mindset, you can boost your prospects overall and bring extra value to these clients, to these companies. Okay, so next, does this guy need an intro? Okay, so this is George St Pierre. He's like the most accomplished MMA fighter in history. He's won like a 3-time welterweight champion. He's currently taking a break, but he's really like a world-class athlete, and he's local. He's from the Montreal area. So I want to propose that you and GSP could have something in common. So this dude takes his profession really seriously. He's constantly seeking for the best coaches, and he's adding complementary activities to his training routine to be the best. And one of the main things that he's added to his routine is gymnastics. He used to practice it once a week at least when he was more active. And I have a quote. This is just the first part, but I'll read it out. Gymnasts are the best athletes in the world. So when you do gymnastics, it makes you more athletic, and your ability to repeat every movement of sport. Gymnastics is going to make my career longer because it's good on the therapeutic point of view. It stretches my body, it gives me more range of motion, better coordination, and better athleticism. Pretty awesome. So he's a fighter, and that's his thing. And gymnastics, it's also a sport. But seriously, he's not his build. He's not going to become an Olympic gymnast, but he uses it to enhance what he has and stay above the competition. So this is for real. I took these photos. So he does practice gymnastics, and the world will always need software engineers, and there's many. And how can you distinguish yourself? So adding a UX mindset to your arsenal sets you apart from the competition, just like GSP. So good reason? So now it's time for the new agey part, awaken your UX consciousness. So we're gonna delve a little deeper into this so-called mindset I keep speaking about. It's about being alert in our everyday lives to find these nuggets and metaphors that could trigger opportunities and creative ideas to make us better. So this is in UX, everyone knows the story. It's pretty classic. You have your sidewalk, and then you have the users kind of protest and create their own path. So what this says is that users' needs and satisfaction is not there. And we kind of compare this to being developed, sidewalks being developed without UX and design in mind. And so just hold that right there, hold that thought. Now we're going to get a little personal. I want to introduce you to my beautiful grandmother, my cyber grand. She just turned 91 last week. She's on Facebook, she can selfie, as you can see. She can do online banking. Her vice is online mahjong. We've taught her how to defrag, and she even knows how to connect to multiple IPs. Wow. Last point, when she was 75, she was on ICQ. Whoa. Now, here's her hot pink Razr Motorola cell phone. I think I actually brought it. Ta-da! Okay. So what I'm getting at is, just like the sidewalk sidesteppers, my gran decided that the phone was not satisfactory to her particular needs. It was too much effort to go into the address book and use like find whoever she wants to call. So she devised a hack of her own, and I don't know if you can see from back there, but basically she's scotch taped a list of the key phone numbers to the back of the phone that she calls all the time. And then I told my friend about this, and she mentioned it to her grandmother, who happened to be dissatisfied with her phone as well. Her complaint was that the font size couldn't be large enough for her. So she did the same thing. So on the other side, we have another phone. Mimi's grandmother was too shy, so her mom stood in as the substitute model to pose. And so as you can see, it's like a collective effort to communicate that the solution is not good enough for these users. So what I want you to take away here is that be conscious of these hacks, be aware, alert. Like when you see things like Post-its and Band-Aids and duct tape, it's a flag that user needs or satisfaction are not met. Okay, we're gonna get personal some more. Shoelaces. Who here likes tying shoelaces? Raise a hand. Okay. Why do people buy shoes with shoelaces? I don't get it. So, of course, they're very dissatisfactory to me as a product feature. I really loathe and boycott shoelaces. You have no idea how long it's been since I've had a pair of shoes with shoelaces. And before I hit go, I just want to point out that these are not my feet, of course. I said this one time, and someone actually re-quoted me, and I just thought, wow, that's really strong. Like, I have really strong emotions about my dissatisfaction. And so let's turn to science now. You guys know CNET? Yes? For your gadgets? Okay. So here's like the real science according to this trusted CNET article. So we can clearly see that shoelaces provide a vastly inferior user experience, at least when it comes to usability. So as a UX professional, I'm constantly conscious of the usability of everyday things. Let's zoom in here. We have shoelaces, shoes with shoelaces, shoes with Velcro, shoes with fixed elastics. Initial setup time, shoelaces, 10 minutes. What a waste of time. Reboot every day when you put them on. Elastics, 8 seconds. Running shoes, 30 seconds. Why? Why waste your time? Learning curve, when you're a kid, why do you have to spend so much time learning? It's useless. Accessibility, Grant can't tie shoelaces. Like kids, young kids that are too young, like they can't help themselves. So for accessibility, fail. Average crashes per day. So this is the big one, right? 3 to 4 times at least. Come on, like who needs that? It's such an inconvenience, and people still buy shoes with shoelaces. Come on, people, think about this. It's science, okay? I'm getting like very emotional here. I'm sorry. And you know, this science also helps me choose better shoes. Like it's a good point as well. So now we're going to talk about some well-known brands that I feel have a mature experience design. We all know these, of course. So the Apple Store, we all know the Apple Store. So they've really raised the bar when it comes to the retail experience. So you make your appointment online instead of like going and lining up and being in this unpleasant lineup. So while you're waiting for service at the Apple Store, you can play with their toys, you can shop, it's fabulous. And ever since, everyone has copied them. I remember hearing a story that when they were developing this concept, they rented a warehouse and they built a prototype store and they would play out scenarios. So this is part of experience design. So did you know that? Anyways. So another brand, BMW, they have dedicated sound engineers. So every sound on a BMW aligns with their brand and it gives you like the full BMW experience. And they even make sure that there's sounds that they don't want you to hear. So they engineer things so that certain sounds that are not good are silent. So just YouTube, BMW, sound engineers, and there's like some really cool videos. Okay. What's this here? You guys are students. I know you know what this is. So IKEA has clearly invested in crafting their experience design. Whether you like it or not, there are no coincidences here, according to me. When you walk in, they have a measuring tape that helps take you one step closer to purchase. When you walk in, you're in this maze, you're in this bubble. You forget about reality. There's hardly any windows, there's no clocks. Conveniently, when I go, the reception is terrible. Like, I can't access data. Maybe that's just me. So you go through this maze on the first floor, and it's like exhausting, right? And then, what a coincidence, there's a restaurant you can refuel with meatballs. How convenient. You know, even $2 breakfast on Sundays to get you in the store, well, at least in Montreal. And then you keep going, and when you're ready to check out and you're paying, you're accosted by the sweet smell of cinnamon buns, right? And I believe like they set up the snack bar with dirt cheap food, like your hot dogs, your ice cream. It's all things that make you happy. So I think what they want to do is make you leave on a positive note, and they're also kind of rewarding you for enduring their experience so that you come back. That's just me. So they design their experience to target their customers. And so even like all that stuff that's family friendly, you have the family parking and the bathrooms and the play area, and everything is designed for their ideal clients. So like I said, the IKEA experience did not happen by accident. There's an entire strategy behind it. There are many things you can do to develop these experiences, like build a prototype store in a warehouse. This is a lot more simple. We call this an experience map. So what this is, it's a tool that kind of breaks down the stages of a given experience. So this is an example by a company called Adaptive Path. They kind of were the pioneers in making this tool, and this is the kind of example you see as soon as you Google it. So this is the example for Eurorail, and they have the stages of research and planning, shopping, booking, post-booking, travel, and post-travel. So as, quote, a user or a customer, these are the stages of your journey. And like they've clearly mapped out all the touch points. So is there a number that you call? There's a website, you get to see a real person, you know, what happens at the counter. And within each, they kind of think about, you know, the emotions of the user. Like, is it a positive emotion, a negative emotion? How can they fix that? What do they want the customer to think at this point? What are they doing? And this really gives a broad understanding of how to make this wholesome experience. And what I love about the experience map is that anyone, any member of the team, the client, anyone can understand the big picture of what's happening in its context. So that's where you come in. The role of the software engineer is instrumental to making all the touch points connect. Because when you understand the big picture, you're more synchronized with the context of the project, and ultimately you can deliver a better product and experience to the customer. Okay, so finally, so how do you get your dose of vitamin UX? So I'm going to leave you with, you know, some things that you can do to kind of push you forward. So self-educate. I'm going to skip to the next slide. A number of years ago, I was lucky to see a talk by a UX guru by the name of Jared Spool. He has this famous slide, kind of recreated it here a bit larger so you could read. And there's like so many things that he believes a really good UX designer or needs to have as skills. He believes in it so much that he started a school called the Unicorn Institute. True story. So I'm going to put up my slides tomorrow, and if you want to look into any of these topics, feel free. But it's stuff like information design, storytelling, agile methods, visual design, sketching, things like that. So back to this. The next thing is exchange. So what you can do is you can find UX buddy, you can find mentors, you could just share with peers your experiences, your questions, like even online. And that also is connected to community participation. So here in Montreal, there's a group called Tout le monde UX, which translates to everybody UX. So that means everyone's invited, of course, and so are you, of course. And yeah, look it up. And every month or so, they have a guest speaker presenting on a topic that kind of relates to UX. So that's one way. My favorite UX event is UX Camp Ottawa. Totally awesome. And finally, practice. If you listen to Richard Branson, he says the best way of learning about anything is by doing. So I'm not asking you guys to like abandon your careers in software engineering and switch, but like GSP, it's complementary. So what are ways that you could maybe practice it today? Everyone loves this example. Who knows, who's old enough to remember what this is? Okay, so before the iPod or other mobile gadgets, the Palm Pilot took off. And what the developers did was they paid attention to the context. So they got a wood block, they printed out a screen, like a wireframe screen. They took a chopstick and they put it in their pocket and they walked around with it all day just to kind of debug the ergonomics and the context and how it works. And then that's how the Palm Pilot came to be. Isn't that cool? And it also gave them a sense of being in the user's shoes. So could you do something like this with your prototypes instead of just keeping them on screen if they are mobile or related to a certain context? And you can also make your own experience map. Okay, so just to finish up, I really hope you find my point of view insightful. I wish that you walk out of here with a new paradigm. You notice all these Post-its and duct tape everywhere, and that might lead you to creative solutions that you never thought about, and also help you better collaborate with UX designers in the future. So keep learning, keep practicing, and come and see me after if you want to chat. So good luck. So I want to thank you all for paying attention to me. And, but wait. Dallas, how's it going? So I call upon Dallas, my assistant bun master. And you guys get to vote. Questions or quiz? What do you want to do? Quiz? Okay. We're going to do quiz. So there's prizes. There's a prize in this box. So I think maybe we'll go for 3 questions. I think we have enough time for that. So I want to know, raise your hand in the audience, who can tell me the one word that describes UX? Okay, you're first. Empathy. Empathy, awesome. Dallas, you can open the box and deliver a prize. Is the suspense killing you? All right, so while she's taking care of that, question number 2. How old is my cybergram? Whoa, you had your hand up first with the gray sweater. Okay, I saw your hand go first. Come on and get a cinnamon bun. Okay. And the third one, just because I'm really lazy, I'm going to pick someone to make a question for me. Okay, you over there that raised your hand.
Twitter handle.
What's my Twitter handle? Who wants to answer? So you get a cinnamon bun, and someone has to call it if you want it. Who wants the sugar?
Elida_CA.
Okay, great. Fun for you. Okay, thanks, guys.